It's insane to think we're less than a month away from the election. It really has snuck up on me, mostly because, like the last time we talked about this, I haven't really been paying that much attention to it because, well, I think at this point in time, the only thing that's going to be out there is a bunch of obfuscation, a lot of astroturfing, and hell, we haven't even really got the October surprise yet, but what we have got is something that did tickle my fancy a little bit, the cross-section between complete and total idiocy and the media doing what they do best by lying about Trump. So I figured I might as well weigh in on this one at this point in time, given there was such a significant event, just shy of 3 months, about 10, 11 weeks removed from the attempt on his life. Trump returned to the scene of the crime like an absolute gangster. This past Saturday, he held a rally with, a well-secured rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. I didn't watch the rally. I didn't see any of the speeches, but I caught a couple of the pictures. I seen the crowd size. It was a fantastic turnout, and he didn't even need an opening act for that one, but he did have a fairly impressive guest list of speakers up on stage, most notably Elon Musk, taking time out of his schedule to go down there and say a few nice words. Like I said, I didn't watch a speech or anything like that, but I seen a couple of things that he was talking about. Enough so that even I can debunk the current narrative that's running around. It's either being spun as being all doom and gloom, oh, look at that, just another negative Nancy on the Trump campaign, or just outright lying about one of the first lines that Elon has, and we'll get to that. Just sweeping under the carpet the fact that, Trump is back at the place where he got shot in the head, and you don't even want to mention that. You just simply want to go, Elon Musk makes his first appearance at a Trump rally. Just a Trump rally. It's not a significant one at all, It's not one that marks like a month left until the election. Just a rally, and cast the election in dire terms. Billionaire tech executive Elon Musk. I guess that's one way that you can categorize the richest man on earth, arguably outside of the guy that he endorsed, the most influential man walking this mortal coil. He's just a billionaire tech executive. Elon Musk cast the upcoming presidential election in dire terms during an appearance with Donald Trump, calling the Republican presidential nominee the only candidate to preserve democracy in America. Well, I mean, he was the only one that was victorious in his pursuit for his party's presidential nomination, went through the entire process and won via democratic means, opposed to the other one that just kind of showed up and was anointed by the powers that be. The CEO of SpaceX, Tesla, who also purchased X, Musk joined Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania on Saturday at the site where the former president survived an assassination attempt in July. Musk said this will be the last election if Trump doesn't win. Wearing a cap with the Make America Great slogan. Yeah, great again. MAGA. He was wearing a MAGA hat, okay? A black on black MAGA hat, which is, looking pretty good, all things considered. He had his black blazer, black jeans, he was all decked out in his regular decor, okay? This is what a lot of people are jumping on, okay? As you can see, I'm not just MAGA, I'm dark MAGA. Oh, see how negative he is? Oh my God, he's dark MAGA, and you know what that is? We don't hack journalists. Feel free to spin that for as much as you want. It was the first time that Musk joined one of Trump's rallies and was evidence of their growing alliance in the final stretch of the presidential election. And yeah, he looked silly jumping around on stage. Oh my God, see, look at that with his evil MAGA hat, and oh my God, see, he's just so goofy jumping on stage, and Trump looks so displeased with him up there. Oh my God, it's like, come on, man. We know what you're doing, but we also know that this isn't 2016 anymore. This isn't 2020. This is 2024. Everybody's tired of your crap. Even the people that are following this much more closely than I am, the people that are still trying to spin this as the most consequential election ever until the next most consequential one where there's going to be a baton handoff and we're just going to have to go through this rigmarole again. I was like, yeah, I get it, but then at the same time, I also know that this is going to be a dog walking in about a month's time, and I'm going to be following this, and I'd imagine now that the Rings of Power cringe has really died down and there's not all that much. There's really not that much between now and the election that is really all that entertaining. So perhaps I'll be diving a little bit deeper into that, but we'll see where the wind blows on this, because I'm still as steadfast and my support for Trump as I've been over these past, 8 years, 4 of which have been documented on the channel. And if you want to go back and take a look, I haven't really changed my position on any of this stuff. No Johnny come lately. I've been talking about this for a very long time. It's just all of the stuff lately hasn't really seemed that consequential to me because, you listen to the news and you think that Kamala Harris is this charismatic enigma that's coming and, oh man, she's a real political force, somebody who's never won a significant election in her life, had to drop out, the first candidate to drop out in the nomination process in 2020 because she couldn't even muster a singular percentage point of support, that she chose one of the most uninspiring VP picks since Joe Biden in 2020. Like, it's really just nothing that inspires fear or doubt, unless of course you spend all of your time on mainstream media, which that's the best that they have to offer. That's right. I'll sit this one out and do my part from the outside looking in, because let's try something different this time around. How about we try to actually uplift Trump and disregard what's going on over on the Democrat side, because a lot of people try to tear down what Kamala does. And you know what? Nobody does it better than Kamala herself, because Trump can be out there. Trump can be out there doing rallies, talking to people, getting great receptions, seeing his own personal brands, raising the stock markets, giving you all the indicators that it's going to be a cakewalk in November. Meanwhile, Kamala's out there giving very tight pre-recorded interviews and going on a podcast where if she was actually uninhibited by public service, she could actually give this podcast some of the best firsthand advice to how to advance your career without any of the required qualifications. Kamala Harris avoids substantive interviews in favor of a podcast, yes, known for tips on how to suck a golf ball through a garden hose. Kamala Harris's team has realized that brat vibes and coconut emojis alone won't carry her over the finish line in November. Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's like, okay, after she got absolutely dog-walked in the debate, they had to roll out the Taylor Swift endorsement to try to cover up that failure. Like, wow, cool. You can talk a lot about the get-out-of-jail-free card for whores, but outside of that, like, you have no substance. I'm not even going to give you the Planned Parenthood punch card. Policy is a victory. It's just something you can grandstand on that a bunch of vapid airheads will support you on, for the simple fact that you're a woman and little else. But I don't know. We're still in for some massive revelation, and we just haven't even caught a whiff of that, because there's no latent corruption like the last time that we had with both Clinton and with Biden. We just know that Kamala's inept. Like, cool, man. I look forward to all of these tours, and maybe we'll get some sound bites out of it. Maybe we'll get a basket of deplorables-esque clip, or if you don't vote for me, then you ain't black, something like that. But other than her just being a cackling nonsense farm, don't really see all that much on the horizon. And that's why nobody's really inspired. They're inspired to say on social media that they support Harris and Walz. It's just, will they be inspired enough to go down and vote? I really don't think so. And I've been around this stuff long enough to know that the whole orange man bad mystique really isn't working out all that well, given the fact that there's no latent sadness that's out there. There's no fear and hysteria that, oh, he's so much of an unknown quantity. We can't allow the nuclear football to be passed to a reality TV show host. There's nothing like that, and that didn't work in 2016. And then in 2020, oh, look at how bad everything is around us, and all of that propaganda that was out there, from the Black Lives Matter to the stay home, otherwise you're gonna kill grandma insanity. That's just not happening right now. The only people that are really feeling the pinch from the federal government is the Eastern Seaboard, and they're worried about making sure that they have a requisite amount of plywood on their windows, because they know it sure as hell FEMA isn't going to turn up and help them rebuild. But yeah, if Harris actually wanted to organically raise her popularity and wanted to appeal to voters that may or may not traditionally vote Democrat, You would go down to North and South Carolina. You would go check out the devastation in Georgia from Helene and then upcoming Milton. You would make sure that Florida is properly taken care of. But no. You're out here on Whorecast. After making avoiding interviews a cornerstone of her campaign, she is finally scheduled to make the rounds to speak not with a teleprompter, but with a real human. She'll be tested on her nearly 4 years in the Biden White House. Really, her record on the border and how she plans to bring down the cost of living. I kid. Yeah, exactly. Harris is gearing up for the softball tour, right? Visiting the right-hating ladies of The View. When is that supposed to take place? Stephen dancing a vaccine needles Colbert, right? And I think it's supposed to be later today when you guys see this. She's going to be sitting down with that individual right there. I wonder if Kamala is going to be black or if she's going to be Indian in that interview, because it could be very awkward for half of her. I'd imagine we're probably going to be talking about that interview sometime this week. All people, yes, ready to throw down her parade throw her a parade rather, because she's not the bad orange man. Yeah, exactly. And it's really not going to land. Like, this is probably going to be the most culturally significant interview that she gives, because nobody watches any of those late shows. I don't even know what those ratings are at this point in time, and most people don't even remember that Howard Stern is actually on the air. So yes, on Sunday she was on Alex Cooper's Call Her Daddy podcast, which is the most prominent female hosted podcast, but it's all about whoring. Like, there's no substance to it at all whatsoever. It really is people stereotypically think the likes of red pill podcasts are, or women. They actually are what they think those evil woman-hating podcasts are. Like, you will get far more value out of listening to your random episode of Fresh and Fit, as opposed to random stories about sucking off taxi drivers for free fares over on Call Her Daddy. Like, there's no reason to check this out, but it's still the most popular female-hosted podcast, which is a smart decision for Kamala Harris's campaign, because she couldn't, unlike Trump, get on with a famous, relevant streamer. So you have to sit down for a pre-recorded conversation that the Secret Service could go over, and all of your handlers, to make sure that you have the appropriate questions asked and you don't slip up too much. But yes, it's where Katy Perry boasted of rewarding her fiance Orlando Bloom, yes, with some really worn out box if he's done the housework. And Brazilian pop star Anitta and comedian Heather McMahon, not the good McMahon, but okay, shared their dick sucking tips. Christina Aguilera once referred to herself as a promoter of the swallow on their show. It's all about sucking dick, which does in fact make Kamala Harris the prime guest for the show. And if she wasn't burdened by a presidential race, it could be funny as hell for a 60-year-old bitch telling old stories about, she got the favor of Willie Brown. But I suppose that's going to be a little while in the future. But it's a safe spot for Harris, who's been showered with soft focus media features and fawning takes on her cooking and clothing. And once again being treated like a glittering celebrity. Yeah, because the most difficult question and one topic that they focused on outside of, I don't know, how at 40 years old and being several tours removed from your peak, you can somehow leverage your sexuality. Katy Perry is an embarrassing individual. But the big takeaway from this interview, and quite possibly, I was under the assumption that we would never hear a dumber line from a female politician than Hillary Clinton's famous 1998 speech that she delivered. I do believe it was at the UN, but when she said, "Women have always been the primary victims of war because they're the ones who end up losing their husbands, brothers, and sons in the conflict." I never thought that we would ever have something that would end up taking the cake from that line, but no. Leave it up to Kamala and a professional dick sucker to say something even more inane. Abortion took up a large part of the conversation because, that's all they talk about. And again, relevant for this podcast, Cooper repeated fear-mongering lies about Georgia woman Amber Thurman's tragic death from a septic infection, saying the 28-year-old died because doctors in the state were hesitant to treat her due to a 6-week that's not the case. There's always the exceptions. Even that's what Trump continues to screech about instead of, focusing on his own policy, instead of trying to actually something that could potentially be a soft spot for his campaign. But anyways, the three exceptions, At this point in time, if you know, you know, and if you don't, well, you probably still think that there's a nationwide abortion ban just because Roe v. Wade got overturned, and don't realize that it just simply got delegated down to the states. Anyways, as Harris nodded along, Cooper then asked Harris if there's any law that gives the government the power to make a decision about a man's body. Harris giggled. No, it's no. Yeah, first thing that comes to mind, and a producer, should have chimed in. Should have, but didn't. What about the draft? What about that one policy that you guys were pushing a couple of years ago, trying to make it stick through HIPAA, if you wouldn't, in fact, get sticked with some experimental medication? What about the ability for a grown man to take anabolic steroids? Is that also... Oh, no, that's illegal. Oh, right, but there's nothing as opposed to ending the life of an innocent child just because you made poor reproductive choices one drunken evening. That's all they're about. That is all that the Democratic Party has devolved into. Leftist ideas and scraping out the remains of last weekend's 3 a.m. rendezvous. Great stuff. I'm sure it's going to play exceptionally well at the ballot box, because it sure as hell is going to play great on the interview circuit here in the next few days. But we'll be keeping tabs on Kamala. We'll be seeing what Trump and Elon are up to. Then, of course, seeing which way those popularity polls continue to go, because we can tell from your average person that's out there, and even the kids, even them kids over there on TikTok, they kind of know exactly what time it is, because Kamala's out there describing what it's like, describing the different cranks of several high-ranking politicians. Meanwhile, she's the sitting vice president, or in her case, kneeling vice president of the United States. What is it? 200 and some odd people are dead from Hurricane Helene, and Milton's about to make landfall, and she's out there discussing different tongue techniques. I think we know exactly what we're in for in about a month's time, and we know exactly who's going to be on the losing end of that, and that is something. Well, hey, she doesn't care. I think that rings exceptionally true with a lot more people than just you and me. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.